The following is a KPB Media Works production.
Choose your fighter.
And we're going. Welcome to another episode of KPBCast, guys. With me today, I have an old school New York legend, arcade legend, great guy in the FGC, one of the best kept secrets within the East Coast FGC. Everybody who knows him loves him. We're bringing you him right now, and his name is Summoning. Sir, how are you?
What's up, my friends? I'm good. It's good to see you.
No, man,
It's good to
great
even
see
talk
you.
to you guys.
Yeah, man, great to see you. And guys, he's coming all the way from Sweden. So
Stockholm.
there you go. He moved out there a while back, and he's here to share some of his stories with us. So as always, this is going to be more of a little bit of a MK podcast, MK legacy for this man, because again, he grew up in the arcade scene. This guy goes back a long time, guys. If you want anything MK, if you want anything arcade related, this is the man you go to, along with James MK. But
Yep. Gotta
Summoning,
put you
before
in.
we get on with everything with MK and all that good stuff, tell us, first of all, how did you get into fighting games?
All right. So, long story, but I'll keep it as short as possible.
Please, by all means.
As you see my shirt here, back in the day, it was only MK guys were into heavy metal. They were into metal music, okay? To be honest, because there was fatalities and oh man, this is great. It goes
Yeah.
hand in hand. So we would actually like go to an arcade and we would see like these black shirt guys playing. You got some metalheads playing MK. That's great. And we would sit there and talk and compare bands and and just play the games. But that's basically how it started, to be honest, because you would go to an arcade and you would play people in the arcade because you didn't have no home versions of anything. It's one-on-one. You go to an arcade, you play somebody side by side. It's usually a fighting game or a football game or a
Racing
car
game.
race. Yeah, whatever it is. That's what you would do as a kid. Your parents would drop you off to an arcade. There was no first person. I mean, it was just that's what you did. So basically, fighting games is the only thing that I knew. I didn't even know what an arcade. I mean, like I played the older games like Robotron and stuff. But then when the next step was fighting games. So that's basically how it started.
You mentioned
Stuff like
something,
that.
and it's something I never really noticed. I actually just noticed it now, you telling me. But what was it, that correlation between MK and rock and roll? Like what the heck was it that I mean, rock and roll's been around for a long time, heavy metal, whichever genre of rock you like. But what was it about MK that basically, you united both genres, both Mortal Kombat and rock and roll?
Well, I don't know if you remember. The movie was way past. The movie was when MK movie came out. They were already up to Ultimate, I think.
Yeah,
UMK3. So
yeah, I believe so.
so
Yes.
basically, when it was the early 90s, late 80s, or early 90s, I'd say, when MK1 came out, people were into the heavier metal, like the death metal stuff, the really
Yes.
heavy shit.
Mhm.
And I mean, MK had fucking fatalities. You know what I mean? Like you could just rip someone's head off. Like, oh my god, that's great. And back in the day, that was like, I'll get into the hiding, the fatalities, and all that stuff. But it was huge. Like, yeah, we got to play that game, and we got to meet people who play that game. You know what I mean? That's
Of
how.
course.
That's how. So we were always into extreme music, and like the country that I live in is only metal. Everybody here is only into metal. That's just how it is. I mean, it's accepted here. It's a way of life here.
Oh,
So
nice.
I mean, yeah, it's completely out of the 80s and 90s here. I never thought it like I just love the old school feel. But yes, this MK for us was for me, for not for Jimmy, not for me and my. I have very personal close friends who are into even Long Island Joe. That's what he listens to. He listens to brutal death metal. That's what he listens to. I don't know if I don't know if a lot of you guys know that. Joe
I know,
listens to some
I know
crazy
he's
shit.
into the mosh pit scene. I didn't know, how hardcore death metal,
Bro,
rock and roll he
Joe's
listens to.
into Dying Fetus and crazy bands like sick shit. I mean, I can play you some stuff later. I mean, like you would not believe it. I mean, he is into crazy stuff. But he was also part of the story, which I'll get into. So go ahead.
Well, and then you said you fell in love right off the bat with Mortal Kombat. You knew Street
Mm-hmm.
Fighter existed. What other fighting
Yes.
games besides Street Fighter 2? Where I mean, WrestleMania, the arcade game, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
classify that as a fighting game. But like you said, the gore, the
Mm-hmm.
all the blood, and yes, there is a correlation
Yep.
between that and rock and roll, especially super hardcore death metal. You
Yeah,
fell in
in
love with
our scene.
Yes,
Right.
in your
In
scene,
our
yes.
scene. Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with MK. What was it about MK besides the gore and the blood? Was it just maybe the characters? They felt so much different compared to something like Street Fighter. What else was it about the game that you loved?
No, it really was the controversial fatalities and stuff. It was like, we got to play this. I mean, nobody ever seen that before. I mean, Street Fighter, of course, was the more finesse game. Lots of people played it. Then MK just came out of nowhere, and Johnny Cage just punched your head off. Like, dude, we got to play that game. You
Of
know?
course,
But
yeah.
whoever's watching at home, you got to think of us as like these old people who just, this was a big thing for us back then. Anything that comes out for you guys nowadays is no big deal. It's already been done. But imagine no phones, no. We had fucking beepers, man. We had beepers. You know what I mean? Like we would get text messages and stuff. Like, you know,
Beeper, what's
we,
that?
we, we yeah. I mean, we had no phones. We didn't have any. We didn't have no internet. We had none of that stuff. We just went to an arcade, and we just seen like Johnny Cage punching the head off. Just think about that. I mean, there was a commercial. The Mortal Kombat commercial was amazing. That was on, but that was like home version times. I think I don't even
Yes.
remember. But like when MK came out, people were like, "This is awesome."
How big
I
how
mean,
big was the controversy when that game came out? I mean, I remember it. I'm sure a lot of people watching this probably they've heard of it, but you
mm,
experienced it. Again, how big was it? We had politicians talking about this. Look, you want to know a reason why
yes.
kids grow up violent? Because stuff like Mortal Kombat that's dressed up as a video game where people have their spines ripped out. Again, how explain to our viewers how big was the controversy?
I know this, and again, like Jimmy's gonna fill in the blanks because I remember there was a huge parental controversy, huge. Like there was freaking press conferences and stuff about like banning the games from. The game was banned from certain countries. I know, like I'm a lot friends with a lot of Australians now. I believe the game was banned in Australia or one of the games, MK9, maybe I don't remember, but there was. I know that was way past it, but there was MK games that were banned in certain countries.
Yes.
There was parents who went freaking ballistic about the fatalities, and it was really, really crazy, crazy stuff. Of course, we wanted to play the game. Of course, we did. We were like, we have to play this game. We have to. This is what I brought this up before when we were testing, but when I was in college, okay, let's just take an example. We did not have the between class thing, so I would go home and I wouldn't come back because it's like I had 4 hours between classes sometimes. You guys have the net. You guys have your phones, Facebook.
Hmm.
Shit, we had nothing. I mean, like you'd have to keep me really motivated. I mean, I'm thinking about like who I'm gonna beat down at the arcade. I ain't going back to class. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go play something. So my school actually had an MK machine, had an MK1 machine. Talking 92,
What school
and
was
I
this?
probably sat in there for 10 hours a day.
What school
Didn't
did
even
you
go
go
to
to that
class.
had the privilege of having an MK machine?
On Long Island, CW Post. I went to
Okay.
college there,
And
and they
was
had
that
an
the
amazing
busiest machine?
arcade.
Was that the busiest machine there?
It was MK all day. You know, Street Fighter was always busy, but it was MK because of the wow factor, because of the fatalities. It was crazy. Everybody loved it. You know, it was awesome.
Well, you have your school right there. You go to
Hmm.
arcades and growing up in your youth, your college days. Explain
Yep.
to us a little bit if you want the rivalry because there's always a rivalry between a few things. A rivalry between Street Fighter, the
Hmm.
game that's been out, the one that a lot of people get. Hey, this was my first fighting game, Street Fighter 2. Now you have Mortal
Okay.
Kombat, a game with all this gore, and everybody feels, oh, that's the only reason why that game is even getting that publicity. But explain
Right.
that rivalry between the Street Fighter fans versus the Mortal Kombat fans.
It's really great that you asked this question because I can explain it in such a way that probably nobody really thinks about. So I made the best friends of my life playing MK and Street Fighter during that era. I still talk to all those guys today. I've introduced Matt to almost every single person we played. it's got to be over 40 people in one arcade. We still have contact with the Street Fighter guys. And again, I'm not stereotyping. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. Usually, it would be like Asian players and like sophisticated guys who would just play really hardcore matches. And you had the MK guys who were just metalheads and just retarded. We were just dumb, and we just didn't have a thing about it. We would just go in and just. So the Street Fighter guys would come over and be like, yeah, MK is pretty trashy because when you kick the guy, you fall down.
Yes.
Okay, so you kick the guy, you fall. In Street Fighter, you combo, you do a kick. It's more like a real life fighting game where you kick the guy and maybe you could like uppercut him at the end or you get like a 2-hit combo.
It's like pushback.
There was no combos in MK1 and 2. No official combos. 0 combo meter, nothing like that. So basically, when we started talking to Street Fighter guys, they would make fun of MK because they're like, it's just kick you and you fall, sweep, whatever, this bullshit tactics with fireballs and things like that. While Street Fighter's more finesse, and you would have the cross-up jump kicks, and you could do. So that's the arguments. They would be like, this is not as good of a game as Street Fighter. But the thing is, MK had way more. It made way more money in the arcade.
Oh, of course.
Did. Straight up.
Of course it did.
Why? Because of the wow factor. Because people were just like, this is way cooler. And the Street Fighter guys were always about finesse.
And you bring that up, that Mortal Kombat made a lot of money. What a lot of people don't realize, yes, arcades were big. But Mortal Kombat, even though, yes, there was controversy, let's not forget that. Mortal Kombat, what it also did, Street Fighter did do it. What I'm about to say, Street Fighter 2 did do it, but Mortal Kombat, because of the controversy behind it, brought more people to arcades, and like you said, that equaled more money. Because, wait, what the heck is this? Whenever there's a controversy, people are curious. And they go they go to said controversy to see what's going on, and they see it's an arcade, and like you said, it brings more money in. Controversy sells, like Eric Bischoff would say. And that game, I mean, and its further iterations just kept proving it. Maybe until Mortal Kombat 4 came out, but Mortal Kombat 1, like you said, I mean, that thing was just a money guzzler, quarters,
Yeah, it was 50 cents as well, and that's a lot of money back then. It's a lot of cash. So when we cashed our dollar, we would make that shit count. You know what I mean? Like, it would count. Because it's you spend $20 a day, whatever. That's a lot of loot.
Yes.
And here's something else. So the fatalities for MK1, I'm gonna bring up that real quick. They were known to everyone. Everyone knew them. Okay, so then I'm not even gonna jump to MK2 yet because MK1 has so much backstory.
Of course. Yes.
So basically, what happened was you had these two games in the arcades. You had Street Fighter and you had MK, and they were always there. Okay, no matter what happened, you had your two different types of players, and if you were at an arcade where you went went there all the time, you would eventually get friends with the Street Fighter guys. They would kind of cross over and play MK, but I was the guy who they would take over to Street Fighter, and they would be like, all right, we're gonna show you how to do like medium kick, fireball, cancel the fireball. That stuff was unheard of to an MK player. They didn't give a shit. They just didn't care about the game. So it was like I met so many people playing MK. Like, let's venture over to Street Fighter, guys. Nah, we don't want to play that game. So I would be friends with the Street Fighter guys, with the MK guys, and it was a rivalry because of the skill levels of the games. Even to this day, I agree the Street Fighter is a way more heavily skilled game. MK people could get all mad at me all they want, but it's facts. Street Fighter is Sonic Fox, for example, the best MK player ever, in my opinion. I don't really see him playing Street Fighter because it's a different game. I don't think he could win that game. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I just think that there's two different types of games, and I just think that Street Fighter has always been the heavily skilled game, and MK's always been the flash factor. That's my opinion since I've seen it since day one.
Going back, one last thing, you brought up the Mortal Kombat fans and the Street Fighter fans. How some Street Fighter fans look down on Mortal Kombat. Oh, it's all flash and gore. There's not much thing. What did they think of the button setup? Because MK, when you first see it at an arcade, well, at least when I saw it, it's like what the heck is this? Look like they like spidered it out, you know?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest problem. Because once they saw the block button, they were like, "This is complete trash." They're like, "You can't hold, you can block. What the hell is that? You know, you just hold back. Like that's what you guys are. You hold back. You know what I mean?" And that was a big thing too, because you would watch the Street Fighter players have no clue what to do. You would just see that they would be like, okay, yeah, we played a game or two, we're done.
Why was that a
Now
crazy concept to them, having a block button?
it's even today. There's even today having a block button. It's so not fighting games. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. You know? And us MK guys, like I am an MK guy. I am 100, but only the first four. I don't even they don't exist to me after four. Ever since the arcade died, I don't play any home versions. I
You're
don't
as
even know how
old
to play
school
on a
as it
pad.
gets. Yeah, you're as
I,
old
I can
school as
show
it
you all the
gets.
sticks I have. I'm surrounded by sticks here. I don't even know how to use a pad. It's impossible. I have no idea. I don't even know what to do. Just like you have a stick behind you, I got sticks everywhere. There's shit everywhere. But because I have to have like a stick for every game. There's nothing I could do about it. So yes, the block button was a huge turnoff for Street Fighter players. They did not know what to do. And they made fun of it too. Because it's funny. I think it is. So
You know,
yeah.
what was your first experience with a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament? I'm sure, you said it yourself. You went to college, you had an
Mhm.
arcade there. I mean, you
Mhm.
grew up during the arcade's heyday, so I'm sure every corner
Mhm.
bodega, big arcades like Broadway Arcade and all the other arcades that have been mentioned on this show before. Somebody must have organized a tournament back then. What was your experiences with it if you attended it? If you
I
attended
can
any, excuse me.
safely tell you that every tournament from MK1, 2, and 3 was run by either me or Jimmy. Seriously, in the East Coast, in Long Island, no one else had any. There was nothing. I'll get into the MK2 stuff. That's when
Mhm.
it started getting really serious. MK1, we'd get like 6 or 7 people at Westbury Nathan's, and we would have like a chart, and we'd do round robin or whatever, and I mean, the winner would get like $5 or whatever. But that's how it was back then. There was no way to get in touch with anybody. This was before the phones and stuff.
Yeah,
No chance. You might have been able to put a poster outside. We knew the people who ran the arcades. MK1 tournament today. There's nobody to join it. You know what I mean? Just the same kids who play every day. You
that's
know?
actually
So
what I was about to ask. I mean, like you said it yourself, you and James took over and decided, hey, you know what, we're gonna do it. I mean, during a time without no cell phones, where it was dial-up, where you could go to a corner, put a quarter in, and call somebody. How did you go about
yes.
trying to promote this? Besides putting up, like you said, hey guys, there's a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament, where you basically just praying some people came out.
Yeah, it was, dude. There was nothing. There was nothing. But the MK2 stuff you're gonna love
Oh,
because
well,
that's
we're gonna
that's
get
where it
into
got
that.
that's where it got that's where it got nuts. So that's just the core. That's the core stuff I'm getting into. Street Fighter 2, MK1. Okay, so I'll go a little bit further now. So that's, let's say, a year, about a
Yeah.
year. Every day, people would go there during their lunch break. Like, I'm just gonna take our arcade. Our arcade was Westbury Nathan's. Okay, Long Island, Westbury Nathan's. Me, Jimmy, our whole crew who we met amongst the years, still together today, to this day.
Oh yeah.
I could still get all these guys on right now and they'll back me up. So we would play. We would come during our lunch break. People would come because everybody worked, and for like from like 12 to 1 we'd play, and we would come at after work till, because it was open till 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it was awesome. What are you gonna do back then? You take your car, you drive to the arcade, park your car, and you play the games and go home. There's nothing to do. I mean, you could also drink on the weekends and stuff, but we were gamers. We didn't care about the drinking. We wanted to play. We didn't do anything bad. We just wanted to play. So that was like a year. There was different arcades we went to. We went to the arcade on 110. I'm talking Long Island. I don't know if you guys know. Long Island was a huge MK place.
I was
Jersey was
actually
as well.
I was
Hmm.
about to, sorry to cut you off. I was about to
That's
ask
okay.
you before you got into that story. You know, um, I got into the MK scene, at least the offline, with VSM Long Island Phil. Not
Okay,
the nice
yeah,
guy
yeah, I
Phil.
was there. I saw you there many times. Yep.
You know, I've been to Chinatown, and as it's been told in this podcast before, there wasn't really an MK machine there. The
Right.
arcades in Manhattan, they were casual, if you want to call them casual friendly arcades, because a lot of people forget arcades were a business. It's not just a place where you go hang
Yes.
out with your buddies. But
Yes.
you have Phil, you have Dark Rob, and you have some
Mm-hmm.
others in Long Island. Li Joe, he's an MK player, of course. Then you have guys
Yep.
like yourself and James. Why was it
Mm-hmm.
that Long Island was the central hub for MK in New York? How come there, from what you could tell, I mean, you've been in this for a long time. Why wasn't there that much of a big scene in New York City, considering it's New York City? There's so many arcades around here. I'm pretty sure more compared to Long Island. But why was Long Island
Right.
the hub?
Well, here's what I think. This is again not facts. I'm just pulling up information in my head. Li Joe is probably one of the best fighting game players there is.
Yes.
Like, let's say, okay, he was he was an MK guy in Long Island. I know his father for 25 years, whatever. I'm using him as the example here as like the mecca because I don't know if there's anyone else as big as he is. But Long Island Joe played with us. So, that being said, it had to be our scene. It just had to be where we were because I think he came to us because he heard about us. That's the only thing I could tell you. I can't tell you right now of any person. I know all the old school players, but I don't think the scene that they had was as big as Long Island was. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm
Right,
basing
right.
it off of him, off of how good he is today. And guys like him would say me. There was like 7 or 8 really good play like up there. Jimmy was never. I would say Jimmy was never like the best. I think I was better than Jimmy in all the games, but Jimmy was my bodyguard. I mean, you couldn't go to an arcade without somebody backing you up because if you went to an arcade and you played somebody, you could get freaking ass kicked. If you came with a group, okay, we're not gonna mess with these guys. So I would win a lot of matches and I'd be hiding behind Jimmy and stuff because he was as crazy as he is now. I mean, Jimmy saved my life from many beatings. So.
We'll
But
get
that's
into
the thing.
some arcade stories later on because everybody,
Yep.
at least Shock and J360, we've heard plenty of arcade stories. I can't wait to get those
Oh,
with you. But
my
going back to
God.
the Long Island being the MK hub.
Yeah. So because and that's the thing too. Long Island was also a rough place to play. So I mean this has got a lot to do with it. I do believe people found out about us through other players like, "Oh, you got to go to Long Island and play." We did try to go to NYC. That was during the MK2 days. It was good, but it wasn't as good as the Long Island scene. The Long Island scene was just ridiculous. It was just everybody everywhere. It was awesome. I mean, I wish I could even it was pretty much where we were in Long Island and like Spaceplex. I don't know if you ever heard of that
No,
place.
I
That
don't
was
think I heard of
really
that place now.
that's really far out east and like a few other really big arcades where people used to just play all day. So
And
I
then
think
you
there was
meant, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
finish up?
no, go ahead. No, it's
No,
okay.
you also mentioned New Jersey as being a Mortal Kombat hub.
Yes, that's where I met Grinch from he still works for Midway today. The NBA Jam guy. He's a secret character in NBA Jam. You gotta look him up. Oh, Brian LeBaron.
Okay. I think
I
I've
met
heard
him.
of him. I play the heck out of NBA Jam and all those secret
Yep.
characters. I,
Well, I
I, I
met him
think
at
I think I remember him.
the Willowbrook arcade in Jersey. So, and that was a pretty big, and that's where Brady used to play too.
Tom
So,
Brady, one of the
oh, the
community's favorite people.
MK4 master. He was the best. There was a lot of people that I actually met, and I never knew who these guys were. I mean, I met them, and then I figured out later who they were. So that's the thing.
Well, you said you and James were the ones who decided to, organize all the stuff in Long Island. Who would you say
hmm
were the ones that decided to organize everything in New Jersey?
I'll get to that. That's
Oh,
MK2 stuff. I'll
well,
get to that. I mean, that's a story in itself. So we'll finish up with the MK1. So basically, Long Island is where these guys used to show up at about like 6 or 7 arcades. Talking Long Island Joe, me, Jimmy, like 10 or 12 more of us. Those guys, the 10 or 12 more of us, they never made it to the MK scenes. So only me, Jimmy, made it to VSM. But I got VSM people. I got my old friends there, but they never got on stream. They just came to hang out with me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So when you guys were playing MK9, I was playing 2 and 3 with those guys. You
I
guys never
remember
got to
those
meet
days
those
very
guys.
well.
Those guys, we were playing in a small monitor in the back. Those were the guys that I grew up with who played 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was just nice that I can still do that with them today, to this day. That's what my stream is about on Combat Network. I play all my old friends all the time. That's all
Well,
I
like
do.
you said, you know what? It's even those VSM days. I do remember that. And it was, you know, it's not 20 or 30 people, but it's still 7 hardcore guys who this is what they grew up with. And even if it is one time a week, even if it is for only an hour, just bringing back that, you know, those memories, because that stuff stays with you. You may move on in life, you may have kids or something like that, but you know, when you dedicate so much time to the arcade scene like you guys did, again, even an hour, getting back together with your friends, that's very cherished.
Man. It is. Met the best friends of my life playing games. I'm not kidding. That's a fact. FGC was I'm telling you, created by Jimmy and me. I'm telling you, it was. But there was nobody out there who was doing anything. We even got on the internet. We did so much stuff that no one knows who we are. People know who Jimmy is because Jimmy, he's in your face. He don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I always played the game. I'm friends with everyone. My own team hated me because I was so friendly to even the enemies. You know what I mean? I love people. I want to learn how to play. I want to know how those guys how they work, what they do, how they do things. I want to keep in touch with people. You know, like I've always been about the FGC since the first day it came out. And I have documented proof that we were before anybody. That's coming up.
Well,
I'm
like
telling
I
you right
said,
now.
you're one of the best kept secrets in the FGC. You know, you're in the background all the time, but you really do care. But Mortal Kombat 1 fades out. We see the success the game comes, and we know there's going to be a sequel. Boom, here's Mortal Kombat 2. Bigger, better, more colorful, more in your face. When that game comes out, what was everybody's reaction in your group?
All right, so now I'm going to get into the limelight. Okay, so I walk into Comac movie theater one day. That's in Long Island.
Yeah,
And I see MK2.
Comac, Long Island. I've been there before.
Yep. And I walked into the movie theater, and I was like, MK2. That's got to be a joke. 'Cause I had no idea. No clue. And, I hung out with Jimmy a lot, and they were saying, yeah, it's coming out one day. Yeah, okay, whatever. So I ran to the arcade. I skipped the fucking movie we were going to see. I was like, whatever. Went to the arcade. First character I picked, of course, Johnny Cage. I remember the first match I ever played in my entire life of that game. And I beat the guy I played. Of course I did. Never even touched the game before, but it's the same exact game as it was MK1. Except you could turn around jump kick. No, you couldn't do that in MK1.
Yes.
You know, you could just... So I was beating everybody doing that. Shadow kick after that 2-hit combo. Oh, pretty nice. And of course, the first thing that I did was forward high punch for the uppercut. I'm like, yeah, this didn't work. So I told everybody, I'm like, this game's got to be a hack or something. This can't be this can't be right, you know.
Well, especially with
yeah.
Street Fighter Rainbow Edition. Now we already seen hacks, so you see this. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, this is bullshit. There is no way this is a licensed product.
Right. So we went back to the arcade. We kept playing that game because we didn't see it anywhere. All of a sudden, bam! It's everywhere. Like, oh man, this is real. Like this is we have to dedicate our lives to this game, and that's what we did. Jimmy was already. This was the early revisions. My remembrance of Jimmy is I used to walk into Westbury Nathan's. He can back up the story. This is 100% true. He was with his like fiance at the time, and we all I mean, smoking was allowed in the arcade. So there was cigarette burns and stuff and all over the machines, and it was all allowed inside. You could do that. Ashtrays next to the machines. So I would walk into Westbury Nathan's, and I saw Jimmy doing the Scorpion Infinite in Revision 1, which is the high punch, teleport. You just keep teleporting. Okay, and I was like, this guy, we gotta beat this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and we started talking that way, and we were bringing up stuff like, just that's awesome. Like we've never seen anybody do that, and there was a couple of guys there. We used to practice anti-airs. That's all we ever did in our whole lives. I mean, you can't jump at me in those early games. You know that.
Yes.
That's not a good idea. So we paid to learn that shit.
I was
We
about to
paid.
say that.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
Yes.
guys, there was no training modes in these arcades. These guys were literally putting
right.
in quarters, knowing it's like, this is how we're going to learn this stuff. We're literally wasting money standing there. Just let's see what happens if we hit high punch when this happens.
Hundreds of dollars, dude. Hundreds. And every combo that I hit on you, that I've played you. Every combo that I ever hit on anybody, I paid to learn that combo. I figured that shit out by myself. Nobody helped me. We put our notes together at the end of the day. We had paper and pen. We were crazy. Frame data, whatever. We would just figure out what we could figure out. And we got good. We got damn good. So what happened was, you're talking 92, 93 right now. We started getting on IRC. I don't even know if you guys know what that is.
Oh, I know what IRC is.
Okay. There's a lot of people
Steve's
out there
laughing. He knows what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So there was BBS boards, bulletin board systems, and there was IRC. And there was two easy ways to get an IRC back then. One was through Netcom, and the other one was through AOL. Okay? So of course, we went to pound or hashtag MK. Okay? So we went on. I mean, I'm skipping a lot of stuff, but I'm getting into the internet stuff because you were asking about tournaments.
Mhm.
Okay? So we went into a channel called Pound MK, and there'd be like, I don't know, 15 people in there. And we met, again, I only have 2 hours, so I'm going to give you guys stories of fun stuff.
Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
So we met a group of guys in the Willowbrook arcade. And they're like, yeah, come bring your crew down. We're gonna show you what's up. Okay? And Long Island to Willowbrook back then, that's far. That's
Yes.
like 2 hours. You know what I mean? They didn't expect we'd show up. So we took 5 of our top guys. Jimmy drove. We fucking wrecked them. Dude, we wrecked them. I mean, they had no idea what hit them. And I mean this is okay, now I'm in UMK 3 days. I'm just bringing this up. This is when Division 3 came up or whatever. I know I'm jumping in. I have so much stuff to say, but I know I'm jumping. So like this is the only organized, like you asked me for organized stuff. This is organized things that I'm thinking about. Okay? So we actually went to an arcade the day like Ultimate Chip came in. The chip for UMK.
Right.
None of us even played the game, and we wrecked them. We wrecked them with tactics that we had from MK2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two of the guys, we destroyed them the whole night. We were friends with them, whatever. Two of those guys followed us home. They followed us home because we went to the 24-hour arcade to play more MK. So we left their arcade when it closed. We drove all the way back home. We stayed at the 24-hour arcade. 2 guys slept in the parking lot. My friend Al, who's a really great friend of mine, and Grinch, which is LeBaron, who's actually working for Midway right now. And they copied our combos.
And NRS. Midway's no more.
Yes. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, that's how old school I am. Seriously. So, like, I mean, I only have old school stories. I don't know anything about any new stuff, But, so,
They
these
slept
guys
in the parking lot.
They slept in the parking lot in the car. It's a 24-hour arcade. So, after we went home, 5 a.m., whatever, they stayed until 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, till we got up the next day. We went back to the arcade. We saw these 2 clowns there. And they played all night. I mean, like, they were, like, falling asleep at the arcade. We beat them down again. Again, we wrecked them again at our arcade. They eventually joined our team. You know what I mean? They were from Jersey.
Did they give you a reason why they did that?
They thought we were amazing. They were like, we need to freaking be as good as these guys. You know what I mean? We created a name for ourselves. We beat everyone. Then I started doing tournaments with Jimmy. We did tournaments at strip bars. We did tournaments at other arcades. Yeah, there was a strip bar in Long Island called Cafe Royale. Okay, the owner absolutely loved me, and he loved all our friends, and we brought so much business in. And yeah, next door was a strip bar. It was Cafe Royale and Cafe Billiards. So we had the tournament at Cafe Billiards. But we
Jeez,
go
man.
across. We would
There,
go if all.
there's a
Yeah.
place I play pool up here in Yonkers called Cafe Billiards, but it doesn't have a strip club next to it. So
Well, I'm
you got
telling
you.
you,
There you go.
we had it all. We had it all. I would arrange tournaments, organize stuff. I would get people in. So then it started the arcade versus arcade stuff. So people would find out, oh, we're the Westbury Nathan's crew. So we would go arcade to arcade, and that's when the brawls started happening. When you started winning, they started getting in your face. We had some big guys with us, so we were always kind of intimidating. Not me. I'm freaking. My kid could beat me up. You know what I mean? So it's like I would hide behind those guys, but I was one of the better players back then.
Let me ask
So
you
I mean,
this.
that's
let
it.
me let me ask you this. You going back a little bit. You said
Mm.
your crew. You won the IRC and you met up with the Willowbrook crew.
Yep.
In your
That's just
estimation,
a story.
yeah, no, I know that. But in your estimation, since you go back such a long time, would that be the first time you ever heard of a, excuse me, of a local team versus another local team?
Yes, that's why I brought that story up, because I know that's even UMK3 days. That's even years after too. That's okay. So the thing is, in my mind, and I only remember old stuff, there was never any real organized way to meet up with people. When we used IRC, it was kind of legit because these guys are like, okay, let's play this versus this. Everything else was either a local arcade running something a week in advance with like a sign-up board with like no names on it. It's the same kids who go there every day. It's like, who the hell is going to find out about it? You know, newspapers or anything. Like,
No.
whatever. But that's why I brought the IRC stuff up, because that was in my mind, the only way to set up versus. And we did that. We did it. We did a great job of it. We would set up all these local things all across Long Island, arcade to arcade, and it got vicious. MK is very ugly. That game. There's another thing too. People like to watch my Combat Network stuff because I'm very nice. I play. Someone will beat me down like perfect me. I play a lot of KI, and I'll bring that up too.
Yeah, I've seen you play KI before. Great game.
Yep, and it's probably my second favorite game ever, KI1. But but if people like beat me up, let's say, I'm fine with that because I want to learn and play. I want to do better. But fighting games is such a toxic community. I'm not talking about today's world. I'm talking about my world. Toxic as could be. People were pissed off. They had a shitty day. They want to punch you in the face.
Oh yeah.
That's the type of people who play fighting games. I'm serious. No
Well, it's
offense
like-
to anybody. I don't mean anything bad by it.
It's
But
like
it was a
Josh
vicious-
360. It's like Josh 360 told us. You know, throws were not allowed in arcades. If you throw somebody,
No.
hey, stand still. I'm gonna get my throw
Yep.
back.
That was only in Long Island. That was not in New Jersey. That's something that the J360 might not have told you guys. You couldn't throw in Long Island. You could throw anywhere else. It's a fact. MK facts. There are certain arcades and certain places you couldn't throw. I'm telling you. Me and Jimmy, we do not throw. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Have you ever
No,
seen
you don't.
that?
No. I played you guys plenty of times. No.
We never throw. It was just not acceptable. The Street Fighter guys would be like, dude, you guys are crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, we never threw. And to this day, I've never thrown anybody in 1, 2, or 3. 4 we did because we used the limb breakers and stuff. But 1, 2, and 3 we never threw. Matt throws. He's a Jersey player. Jersey players threw. We used to call Jersey players dirty water players. You know what I mean? They would throw. You know, it's okay though. It's all right. We came with the territory. You know, so. Listen. Back in the day, there was nothing. It was just air, man. When we got on IRC, we're like, okay, let's get some teams together. You know.
Going back real quick, when you were telling that great story about when you guys went to go meet up the Willowbrook and also Mortal Kombat 2, explain to people who have grown up nowadays with DLC. Back then, Mortal Kombat revisions, new boards almost. How how long did it take before a new revision of Mortal Kombat came out? Because I mean, I played the games, but I actually never took the time to realize all the differences that may have happened. Because where I played, we played it
Mhm.
casually. Nobody really was playing it competitively, so we wouldn't know infinites. We wouldn't know, holy crap, that thing is broken. We were just so
Right.
engrossed in the game. But
Right.
you guys were playing it hardcore as much as you
Mhm.
could remember, as much as James could remember. I'm sure he'll tell us more.
Mhm.
But from your experience, like, how long did it take for a new revision to come out?
Here's the thing. We never knew about them. We didn't even know they were a thing in MK1. And to this day, uh, the early MK revisions, MK2 and UMK3, those are the actual order of the games that I like the most. I used to like 2 the most until I started playing the old revisions of 1 again. And I'm just bringing this up because this matters.
Hmm.
The old revisions of MK1, knowing the stuff that I know now, I think MK1 is my favorite game over 2. I know it sounds crazy. I know. The gravity, man, I had some brutal shit in 1. Like it's awesome. And I love. There's a set between me and Ketchup at East Coast Throwdown last year.
Yes. Hmm.
You need to see that. That
And that,
was I was hitting him with shit that was, dude. I'm still hitting him with stuff. Like it's a year ago.
I've
So like,
seen the video. It was the
oh my
Ketchup
god,
Kumite, Ketchup
freaking
versus
awesome.
the old MK gods.
Oh man,
No, it's a great
great stuff. But
video,
anyway,
man.
so getting back to revision. So basically, this is the weird thing. We knew about them because we've been to an arcade that was like, this feels a little different than the other one. Maybe it's. Then we found out, like, Jimmy would say that, yeah, these have been upgraded. We got to go to this arcade because this has revision 2. Okay. So here's the thing: your arcade had to pay for their revision upgrade or whatever, or had to get shipped to them or whatever.
Yeah,
So
because it
basically,
was an arcade board.
correct. So basically, it was up to the arcade. I mean, maybe it was a shitty arcade. They would never upgrade it. So you would just be stuck on revision, like, and especially MK4. There was about 1/10 of the arcades that have revision 3. That's true because
Really?
two was everywhere. If you buy a board on eBay, it's 2. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not 3. 3 was hard to find. I'm telling you right now, most people played 3 on MAME. That's when arcades died during MK4. So most arcades didn't even get the revision 3 upgrade. So yeah,
Wow.
our life was difficult. Yeah, very tough. All facts, I'm telling you.
And I could imagine, like you said, it's like, hey, let's go over here. Well, how do we know it's one? I mean, how would you even check that kind of stuff? It's not.
Somebody would come into the arcade and tell us. They'd be
Oh,
like,
really?
"Oh, Westbury has revision 3." Okay, great, we're gonna go there. Or like, Farmingdale, Nathan's has revision 3, so we go there. That's the
Yeah.
only way. If somebody comes to your arcade,
But going
that's the
back
only way.
to MK2 again, the game comes
Mhm.
out
Yep.
bigger, badder, greater, and by
Mhm.
this time you said you say you started wanting to put together a few, like, maybe little tournaments together, you and James, or
Yes.
well, yeah,
Yes.
walk us through that. When is it that you and
Okay.
James decide to say, you know what, we could do it, we've done it? Sure, it wasn't like this big things that we know now, but there is
Mhm.
obvious interest there. Walk us through that.
We had a team of players. The reason why I'm only bringing up Jimmy is because none of the rest of them. So, I mean, it was me, Jimmy, Rich, Mike. It was a bunch of us. Okay, but the other guys that I'm talking about, nobody knows who they are. So I,
Okay.
I don't I don't really want to. So that I would say there was about 10 of us, and we started thinking about going to different arcades to play people because we loved the competition. And then we thought about doing tournaments, but the competition was first for us. So we had cars, we all had cars. We'd all follow each other to wherever we'd go. And we would actually go to each arcade, and we would actually beat down everyone at all those arcades. We just created a name for ourselves. So the other people who we actually beat at the arcades would come to different arcades as well because they were good too. When they found out we were there, they would leave. So we'd be like, we there was a story about a guy. Jimmy will back this one up too. This is also part of the story. Um, there was a guy with a master two master locks in his ears.
Two
He had
master
master lock
locks.
earrings. Yeah, we used
Jesus
to call him the
Christ.
master lock guy. Yeah, yeah, seriously. And we went to an arcade. We beat the hell out of them. They couldn't do anything to any of our players. We destroyed them. He was a big guy. He was like a Chinese guy, big guy. Like we didn't want to mess with the guy, but he couldn't touch us in MK. He came to one of our arcades one day, didn't know we were there. He walked out. We saw him come in and he left. He didn't even play a match. He just bounced. So we had this formidable team. We went to New York City to play. We couldn't find great competition in New York, like I said, but all the Long Island stuff, everyone knew who we were. Then we started branching out, trying to do tournaments. We did tournaments at the strip club. We got people together from the arcades, from the different arcades. Say, listen, you're good. Would you like to play? We're gonna do this year. They would show up. They would show up. It would be 10, 15 people. If it was a nice enough arcade, the actual owner of the arcade would actually put some money in. It was nice. It was vicious, but it was nice. But that's all we had. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. But we had our unity. We had our friendship. Our lives revolved around that. We had our jobs. We had our families, and we had the arcade. Man, that's what we did. We did that. A friend of mine, made a movie. It's called Arcadiates, which starred Jimmy. And
Well, what's it
when
called?
Jimmy Arcadiates,
Oh,
like idiots,
yes.
Arcadiates. Yeah, and Jimmy was the star of that movie. And there's a lot of stuff we're gonna bring up. I'm just touching on things. There's all my people. If they came on, they could fill in the blanks. I'm giving you the funnest parts of stuff, but they could tell you like the leading events to it. So fun, just crazy fun.
You mentioned the arcade owners that, if,
Hmm.
like you said, if they were a good arcade owner, if they saw that, man, Nit and James, they're bringing like 15, 20 people. How did
Every
you
night.
pitch? Yeah, how did you pitch the idea to an arcade owner? Hey, you may have one machine here or two, depending how big
Hmm.
the arcade was. How did you pitch
Hmm.
the idea? Hey, I want to bring a few people and we want to have a tournament. Did some of them turn you guys down? Did some of them, all right, cool, let's go. It means more business for me. Take us through that.
Okay, there was never any arcade people who didn't like us because we gave them money. Okay, we came in religiously. We didn't cause any trouble. We did get into fights and stuff, but they would never see that. The owners were only there during the days, and the security guards were there at night. Even they knew us, so we never caused a problem. But when we asked for stuff, they actually did it for us because they wanted the money. They straight up wanted the money. So, and even if they got like $5 or $10 each from each person, go back to the '90s. $5 or $10 is a lot of money.
Yeah,
It's a
of
lot of
course.
money. It's you go buy lunch today for $10 or whatever. In Sweden, $10 is a lot more than it. $10 is 100 Swedish crowns. That's 100 Swedish crowns is way more than $10. It's the
Wow.
same value, but you could do a lot more with that money. So that in the '90s, if you got like $10 a person and you got like 20 people to play, that's a successful day. I mean, that was great. So of course they always accommodated us, always. But again, tournaments from MK1 and 2, 10, 15 in all the years. Not many more than that. I'm not kidding. If there was more, we didn't know about them. But the ones that we organized, 10 to 20 tops. In the years we played, years.
In the years that you played and you were organizing events for Mortal Kombat 1 or 2,
Hmm.
which was the
Hmm.
year that you had the most events organized? Which was the year that you held the most tournaments?
After IRC, so I would say UMK3. As soon as MK3 and UMK3 popped, then we went on IRC. That's when it started. That's when people started being like, all right, let's play you guys at this arcade. Or let's go here. Let's meet up here. And most people didn't show up. We showed. We showed up everywhere. They didn't show up. That was another thing. Lots of no shows because a lot of internet muscles back then too. Yeah, we'll come get you.
Never
Never
showed up.
happened. No. So I mean, the Willowbrook was one of the biggest successful things we did. We went there. We really beat them. E3, me, Jimmy, Rich, Al, one more guy. We flew to California.
Wow,
E3
E3.
96. No, 90. When was UMK3?
Uh,
90. Yeah, maybe 96.
I believe so. Yeah, middle of '96,
Maybe.
I
I mean,
believe it
Jimmy will
was.
help me with the numbers. He took us all there. We were beaten. We were really good. So we didn't beat all the game testers, but that's when it was. We got in through our magazine. We had a magazine which I don't know that much about. It was called fighter-edge.com or whatever. We had that site back in the day. And Jimmy and Rich, they did the MK4 combo book and an MK3 book, official, which I'm sure you don't even know about. We're going to
No.
bring this up with Jimmy. There's books out, The Secrets MK4. Lots of combos were mine. Kung Lao stuff was all mine. All the Kung Lao Infinite stuff that I did that I showed that in UMK3, those were my combos. I've never seen anybody ever do that. I can
Wow.
actually say that I've never seen anybody do that stuff. Of course they do it now. I never saw them do it. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm the inventor, but I did that stuff before anybody seen it in Long Island. That was all me. So my stuff was taken in those books. They used my combos and my ideas for certain characters, not for everybody. Some of my stuff was in there. And I want to touch on fatalities too for MK2 if you don't mind.
I actually was about to
Uh,
bring up something with
yeah.
MK2 that I should have brought
Mhm.
up earlier.
Mhm.
But MK2 comes out, and again, this is something I should have asked earlier, and we already know
It's
the
okay.
controversy, behind Mortal Kombat. Ed Boon and the other guy, John Tobias, they look at
Mhm.
all this, they come out with MK2. MK2, like we already said, it's bigger, it's way more controversial. I mean,
Mhm.
advertising for that game was all over the place. My favorite Mortal Kombat 2 commercials with the kids screaming Mortal Kombat, I
Right.
believe in empty Midtown
That
Manhattan,
was the
and every
console though, right? That
yeah,
was the
it
console.
was the
Yeah. Okay.
console. It was for the
Mhm.
console release, but regardless, I mean
Mm.
that's one of the commercials from my gaming memories that just stick with me. It was such a great commercial. But again,
Mm.
Mortal Kombat 2 comes out. What was the influx of players like? Like how much more people did you see playing this game? And again, it might be because of the controversy. I want to be part of it because that's what people generally do. You yourself, you and your crew, that you guys were competitors for this game. I don't know if you paid much attention to it, but how much of an
We did.
influx of new players and how much would you say actually stuck around when
All right.
MK2?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Okay. I know we're touching upon the controversy and the tournament scene,
Hmm?
but more than anything with MK2 is the secret fatalities.
Yes.
They were not released. Nobody knew them. We knew most of them. We learned how to cover our hands. Big secrets. People would be like, "Holy shit, he knows raid the second fatality." We
Why
would
did
just
people do that back then? Jesus Christ.
it was part of the freaking legacy, man. It
Yes.
was awesome. It was amazing knowing stuff nobody. Um, to this day, I mean, I hope I can get Brian LeBaron to watch this one day, but I believe he got the job because like Ed Boon know that he was a madman. He would figure out fatalities and stuff. The guy would spend like $20 to $30 writing down each combination of fatalities. I believe Brian LeBaron figured out Reptile's acid spit in UMK3, which nobody did. No one. He did it, and I think Ed Boon even knows that back in the day. Like, yeah, I am serious. I am not making up any stories right now. This is all true. He got the job because, he was a dedicated guy. So hiding fatalities back then was huge. People knew that we knew them. It was big. I mean, they would know that we were really good at the game. I have a Long Island Joe story too, if you want to know.
Go right
Uh,
ahead.
Long Island Joe, his father brought him into Westbury Nathan's, and if you've listened to Joe's MK stories, he never played at Westbury because we were savages there. Okay, we would throw people against the machine and stuff. And I remember to this day, and Joe doesn't even know this. I'll confirm with Joe one day. I am the one who talked to Joe's father outside saying, I'm never bringing this kid back here. That's why he didn't play at Westbury, which was the number one arcade to play. Joe did not play there. He did not play us. We destroyed him anyway. We killed him, and his father took him out of there. Took him out of there. And he told me outside the freaking place that I'm never bringing my kid back to this particular place. I talked to him. And Joe doesn't even know this because Joe was just trying to play. Joe was milk crating back then. We just put him on milk crates. He was a little kid, you know? His father's like, he ain't ever coming back to this arcade, ever. It's facts, man. I'm telling you. Ask Joe today. He never played at Westbury. It was too thuggish over there. No way. His father was scared. It was brutal where we played, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
That's
that's a great story. I'm sure I'll bring it up with him. We have him due for an episode soon, so I'm sure we'll definitely bring that one up. But MK2, you guys are doing tournaments. You guys are doing everything you can to try to find more competition because I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you guys wanted to branch out, why you and James wanted to be like, let's make tournaments. Let's go meet other little local groups. Because even though the arcade scene was big, there was just too many arcades, and nobody really could bring anybody together to do something like a tournament. So you guys are doing this for a good while. UMK3 hits. UMK3, I like UMK3, but obviously so much different compared to 1 and 2. First of all, it's so much faster. You have you have the run button. Before we get on to whatever you guys decided to do, offline competitions, what was your initial reaction? What was your team's reaction to UMK3? Excuse me, not UMK3, just vanilla MK3, where it's like, wait, now they're implementing runs. Some of the most popular characters were not in the game, which received a lot of backlash. Scorpion was not in the game. What was your initial reaction to MK3, and explain to us everybody else's around in your group?
All right, my group, they hated it. Jimmy hates the game to this day. He doesn't like the game at all. None of my friends, none of our crew liked MK3 except for me. And I was good at it back in the day. I realized 20 years later when I started playing again that I was never good. But I thought I was back then. You know what I mean? Back then I was.
Right.
They have evolved and they're way better now. But anyway. So I loved the game because I was MK in the brain. I was like, I don't give a shit. Whatever they release, I am gonna play it. And I even expanded the tournament. See, Jimmy and me, I was more into the tournament scene. I was more into the FGC of it. Jimmy was more into the controversy, let's go kick the guy's ass. That's the difference. Jimmy was a very, very... The On Blast show, by the way, the stuff that Jimmy does, he has wanted to do that since I've known him. I'm not even kidding you. So Jimmy is actually doing what he's doing right now. He wanted to do that in 92. He was always that guy. I'm serious. He was always the guy who wanted to expose all the BS. He's always been that way. So I had that guy. He was like the PR guy. He was the guy who would start the problems. He'd be like, "Yeah, you ain't nothing." Then we'd have the other. Then we would all be a bunch of characters. We'd all have our own specific ways of our personalities in our group. I was the nice guy. Jimmy was the mean guy. We had the bodyguard. We had the Jiu-Jitsu expert. We had all these crazy people with us, and we would just go out and just wreck shit. This is all part of the legacy, though, because we all created what we were back then. I'm the same guy I was. If you met me back then, I'm the same guy who I was. I love this shit. I still do Combat Network every night to play my old friends in that game. I just do it for them because they don't care about the new stuff. They could give a shit. They don't. The new stuff. I have no idea what anything's. I have no clue what's going on. Anything that's going on nowadays, it's like, I don't know. So that's the thing. All right. So getting back to vanilla MK3. It was a hated game, but it was super popular. MK2, by the way, was the hugest arcade game there was, and KI1 was the next. Those were the two biggest games ever. Period. They were.
Did MK2 overtake Mrs. Pac-Man? I thought Mrs. Pac-Man still holds that distinction.
No. Fighting games.
Fighting games.
Sorry,
not
games.
Just arcade games.
MK2 arcade and KI1 arcade. Fighting games.
Okay.
Those were the... Matt will still disagree with me to this day. He's wrong. because I'm older than him, and I know how big KI was in the arcades. It was freaking massive. It was massive. But anyway, then MK3 came out, and arcades were huge. There was I remember there was like 40 or 50 machines per arcade in Point Pleasant Beach. I would go to the arcade, and there was a strip of MK3s. Every arcade I went to. So MK3 was big, not as big as 2, and it was frowned upon because of the run button and the dial combos. People hate that stuff even today. People will see me play MK2 in Combat Network, and they'll be like, "Yeah, this is the game. We don't like 3." I got at least 20 people who will tell you that all day of the week. The game changed. It changed to this weird format with a run button, and what is this? You know?
Did
And
it change for the
then
better?
Matt would say yes. I would say no because of the glitch jabs. The glitch jabs killed the game for me, and the glitch and the MK3 guys, MK3 guys said the glitch jabs are in 1 and 2 also, which they are, but they were never really used in those games because they really weren't needed.
No.
But everybody beats me with glitch jabs in run jabs and glitch jabs in UMK. That's why I will never love UMK better than 2. You know, that ruins the game for me. It completely destroys the game. We used to call it the 2-finger salute back in the day. People would just run low punch block the whole game like this. They would just tap like I'm tapping. That's all they would do the whole game. That's not a game to me. That's just block damage and bullshit. So I hated that. If you played me straight up turtle style like I play, I'm very turtle player, very defensive. It's hard to beat me and it's very frustrating to play me. But the new tactics is what deterred all my old friends. They were used to the robotic style of the first 2 games. Very robotic. They kick you, you do this back. Standing low kick block, uppercut back. Robotic, chess type of moves. You
Right.
do something, they do something back. Very simplistic, and they remember all the stuff you could do. It's not hard to remember 500 things. Someone does this, you do this. Someone does a standing high kick, you block it, you can hit him back with something.
Right.
UMK3 didn't have that. You run in, you do a combo. You could run in and throw him. You could run in and do something behind his back. Whatever. It changed. It changed a lot of people's robotic, everyday muscle memory. Muscle memory, I should say.
Hmm.
And they hated the game. They hated 3.
Is it?
So that's
I've talked to a few people who still play MK2, and I love MK2. That's probably my favorite MK. I'll still play UMK3 just because of how fast it is. It's a change of pace. You go from, like you said, you go from this game where it's very methodical. You have to think. Not that UMK3 you don't have to think, but it's just so lightning fast now.
it
You know,
is.
it's ridiculously fast. There is still a little bit of methodical thinking to it, but nothing like MK2. So would you say within your group, and you said it yourself, a lot of them were disappointed. Now MK3, UMK3, it's out. This is the big new game. But how many of them would you say? How long did you give some? How long did you notice some of your friends, some of the people in your group say, you know what, screw this game. Let's just go back to 2. 2, it's more up our alley. That's what we like. Nothing against MK3, but it's just too much of a different game, and we're not having that much fun with it.
Here's the thing. We loved 2. We worshipped 2. We still played 3 until UMK3 came out. We played it. We played it. We didn't stop playing. All of us. I would say they weren't as good as me, or I might have been the best or second or third best player in our group. They still played. Jimmy still, like you said, you see Jimmy play very rarely UMK, but he plays it because he knows it.
Mhm.
He played Sector. I mean,
Yes.
Sector is terrible, but he played him anyway. He
Mhm.
played Baraka in MK2. He hated Baraka, but he played him.
Played
But
around.
we played it. Don't get us wrong. We played the games. We played 3. We played UMK3 till the day it died. Till the day we religiously played it. But we didn't like it as much as 2. Those are facts. More tournaments in 3 also because of IRC
Of
and
course, of
the
course.
groups we got together. Yeah. So that's
MK2.
basically MK. Yep.
Yeah, somebody told me one time, let me see if you agree with this, because of the nature
Mhm.
of MK2, MK2 could be looked at as the super turbo of the Mortal Kombat series, where there's a lot of depth in it, where there's just so much thinking involved. I mean, a lot of people, even today, is like, oh, it's just Mortal Kombat, that's just blood and gore. Those are people who don't
Mhm.
really understand how deep those games actually can be. It's just not blood and guts. It's what do you think about that? It being the super turbo of the series.
It's okay. I I brought up robotic and muscle memory, so I don't think you could compare it to. No, it's not that. It's just it. I compare that game. That game is chess. That's why I use it. I use that example. It's slow. It's not super. No, it's not.
Well,
It's
I'm
just
not comparing it as super turbo. Just the idea that you know.
of the series. No, it's not. It's just. I think it's the Street Fighter 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's that game. Like it's the game that is very. This is a very hard question because when I think of 2, I think of the game that every single MK player, not Matt, because Matt is younger than us. Every single MK2 player, your age to my age, thinks that MK is. That's the thing. So we only know that as the first game. Mortal Kombat 1 was in and out. But I think 2 was the dominant, 2 was the Street Fighter 2. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that was the game. So that's how I think of it as. It's always been the dominant game in my opinion.
They perfected
So,
everything from Mortal Kombat 1, and we got the full package
right.
here.
And people who didn't even play 1, they knew that it was just 2. You know? So that's why when I see a guy playing 2 on my stream, or when he sees us playing 2 and he's saying like 2 or 3 lines, I know immediately he's not into 3. I can tell you right away. I met some great guys, man. Recently, some great guys who I already consider my great friends. I've never even met the guys, and I'm like, I know I could hang with you every day. There's a few guys that I just met. They only like MK2, and they know like everything. They know every single counter. Regular jump kick, they have their ways to counter you. That's an MK. That's why MK2 is like the original series beginning for me. That's what started it all. Not even the first one. MK2. So that's what I look at it as the Street Fighter 2 of the series. Not even anything else. That the first game.
Right.
MK2 is the first game. So.
You, Mortal Kombat 3. You guys said you said you and your group you played it until it basically died. And Mortal Kombat
Mhm.
3, going into the upgraded UMK3. Actually, we didn't talk about that when the UMK3 upgrade came out, and it's
Mhm.
just bigger roster. You know, Sub Zero definitely got nerfed because original vanilla MK3 Sub Zero was ridiculously OD. You know, I think
Mhm.
more OD than Cabal in UMK3, if I remember correctly. It,
Jax was great too. He had the corner combo, really
yes, he
good
did.
corner
Hmm.
stuff. Yep.
What was the
I was Jax main
Oh, were you?
in
Okay. What
MK2.
was
Yeah.
the reaction when UMK3 came out? Like you know, we already know some of these arcades, the owners has it by the board. So you
Mhm.
know, you wake up one morning. Take us through that. You wake up one morning and you go, you know, all right, let's go play some MK3, and boom, here's UMK3. What was the
Well,
reaction to that? It's like, did you think it was another hack?
nope, the Willowbrook story was all part of UMK3. The guy we spoke to on IRC, his name is Drew Boy. Still, I we just connected with him on Twitter too recently. He's still around, and he said that he was the technician or whatever at that arcade, and he challenged our team to go down there. So me, Jimmy, Rich, Mike, a bunch of us went down there. They put the UMK3 chip in. That's the first time we played it at the Willow. It was either Willowbrook or no, sorry, it was Bloomfield, New Jersey. That's where it was. The Bloomfield arcade. Um, we went there. That was the first place we played UMK3 because he put the chip in, something like that. That day, and we never played the game before. And we still whipped them, all of them, the whole arcade. Yeah, and they played MK3 religiously, vanilla, and they just popped the chip in, and we spanked them the whole night. Yeah, no one's ever played the game before, so that's how much skill we had in that game. You know,
Right,
we
right.
just we were beating people with Scorpion. When you beat people with Scorpion, that's bad.
Yeah, New
You know what I mean?
MK3, yes,
Scorpion
he's not very
sucks.
good
Yeah,
at that game.
yeah, no. We would pick Scorpion because we missed them so much. We're like, we gotta play Scorpion because we love too.
Yeah.
I remember we religiously played Scorpion the whole night. We were doing these sick combos. No one ever seen any of that stuff before because we brought it from 2. We were doing punch, teleport, spear, punch, teleport, spear, 4-hit combo. We're like, oh my god. We would do the leg combo too. Oh my god. Who cares? That combo's terrible. You know what I mean? But we were so into 2. We were playing, so that's basically how it worked for us. So we basically like brought 2 aspects into everything, and we played UMK3. Yeah, all of a sudden UMK3 came out. Oh my god, this is great, But we still like 2 better, you know.
A little fun fact about Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 2, if I remember correctly, all the hidden gems in it, all the little Easter eggs. How did you? I'll tell you one thing. I play the heck out of those games. I never took the time to find out what each combat code did. I would not know where to go. I guess I was at the IRC channels back then. I don't think I had a computer until like 1998 or whatever the heck it was. But how did you guys have a method of finding out, like, hey, if we do this, a combat code would be entered, or if you do that, maybe you'll find you'll fight human smoke? Because again, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 1, everybody knew Reptile, Look to the Luna, all that good stuff. But Mortal Kombat 2 amped it up, and then Mortal Kombat 3 amped it up even more. I mean, what did you guys have a method of finding out how all that good stuff, what you had to do to activate those secrets, or the different button combinations before match started?
Well, the first thing we did with the since you brought up combat codes, I'll bring up 3. The first thing that everybody tried to do in the arcades was to unlock Melina, Ermac, and Sub-Zero. So that was the first thing that everyone tried to do, and that took a very long time. We would play ramp or combat just to play Melina. Nobody knew that either. Before we unlocked, yeah, dude, we were crazy. I mean, we were insanely mental. So we would just play ramper. We knew the ramper code.
Yeah.
Just to play Melina for like 10 seconds, because we didn't know the code. We didn't know it was I think it was like 3332221 or something like that. I even remember it. The threes, yeah, it was 3332221, and then same on the other side. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I mean, this is just like this is what we did. We went to all the arcades, unlocked everything, and but those I think were given out and then memorized. I don't think anyone could come up with that stuff. Those codes.
Did any of the old gaming magazines like EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, did they reveal any codes, or
I think they revealed some things, but not much. This was more word of mouth. But I remember once a week they gave away one of those codes to unlock the characters or something, or once a month somebody did. I'm just going by memory. Jimmy would know more of this. And the codes, the combat codes like Ramper and Unlimited Run and stuff, we would accidentally do them and then we would write them down. We'd be like, "Oh, this is what you do." Like it's like 3, 2, 1 or 3, 2, 1. We would just try doing those different combinations, and whatever would come up, we'd write it down. That's how we would do it, because it was only 6. It wasn't that hard.
No.
It was I think it was 10. It was 10 pictures per. I think 10. You could do 10 or 9 each.
I believe it was
3
10.
buttons. So it wasn't that difficult to figure out a few codes. So we figured out throwing encouraged and all that stuff, and Ramper. We did Ramper to play Melina, because Melina was always not locked. It was always not shown. No one knew Melina's code or whatever. So we used to be like, "Oh, we're gonna play Melina today."
You brought up throwing encouraged code. Did you guys enjoy that, considering throwing was not encouraged at your place?
Well, here's the thing. We pushed the first 2 buttons, which was throwing disabled. So if you pushed low that's what we did in New York and New Jersey, New York and Long Island, and in Jersey they would do throwing encouraged. So big stuff. I mean, this is really true. I know it's funny. It sounds funny to all you guys. We never threw anyone, ever. Period. We would let you throw us back. You know that too, right?
Yeah.
We'd be like, "Oh, sorry, you didn't throw back." Always.
how would a no throwing tutorial go in video these days? How would you how would you go about making a no throwing tutorial? What kind
Dude,
of strategy guide, what kind of stuff would you put on there? Would you put a
if
picture
you
of James
accident,
about to stab you if you was like, this is why you don't throw?
yeah, pretty much. That's what would happen. I mean, you just couldn't throw back then. It was like you might as well just quit. I mean, people would look at you like, dude, what are you doing? Like you have to throw to win. Then there's some guys who came in to throw, and we would be like, dude, what are you doing? You're in an arcade, you can't throw. We don't throw here. We'd have to tell them that. Matt will never agree, ever, ever. He's the MK. He was the
The
guy
guru.
after us. He was after us though. He knows it. I wish to this day. I love him like a brother. He's worked for me for 10. I've known him forever. He's my boy. He was after us though. And he knows it. He was way better than us. We didn't know how good he was because we stopped playing. As soon as he had to play on this thing, what is this? What is that? This stick? I don't even know if I have one here. Like, what? As soon as we had to play on that thing, we were done. Done. That was it. When MKT came out or whatever, and people were playing on that PlayStation
Trilogy.
1, forget it. Never played that shit.
No, you gotta play
No.
Trilogy on the N64. You can't do it on the PlayStation 1.
I don't
mean,
even know. I can't even tell you what happened after MK4. I'm
Actually,
done. After
that's what I was
MK4.
about
Yep.
to get to. You played MK3 and all its iterations until it died, because that's what you and
Mhm.
your group did. You were hardcore
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat fans. Mortal Kombat
Mhm.
4 comes out, and it's one of those early 3D games where it's really more of a 2D plane with just you're on the 2D plane, but the background moves, so it looks like it's 3D. Sure, you could sidestep. This
Right.
is a big, obviously a big
Huge. Huge.
technological progress, and
Mhm.
by this time, well, you guys are more competitors. I'm pretty sure you paid attention to everything else that's going on, but by this time, at least from what I remember, Mortal Kombat is waning a little bit. Nobody's really paying attention to it anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that's just a
Correct.
video game where people blow up their heads or a guy's spine, but that's already we already know it. That's already long gone. Mortal Kombat 4
Mhm.
comes out. What did you guys think of it?
All right, this is more good stories. So, of course, all of us played. We all played, and we were all good at the game. And I believe that I was probably second or third, or maybe second best out of our group. And I played the hell out of that game. And no one played it. Nobody. It was dead. I mean, when the Pro Tour came out, you remember with the Pro Tour? They took the tour
No.
around the country.
I don't remember the
And they
Pro
beat.
Tour. I play Mortal Kombat 4 at my local pizzeria, but truth be told, outside of that pizzeria, I've never seen another machine. Even to this
Yeah,
day,
well,
I
very true.
can't think of anybody who said they played Mortal Kombat 4 on the arcade. I know I did. I enjoyed the game, but it's just it was a weird game to me. It was, but
I
I
was
didn't
very
even know there
good.
was a Pro Tour.
Yeah, there was the Midway did a Pro Tour, and it was completely dead after that. They spent a ton of money on it. Done. But
Did they miss the boat?
yeah, just arcades just died. PS1 came out, whatever. That was it. That was the arcade destroyer was the PS1, I believe. That was the beginning of the end. But the thing is, I got really good at MK4, so I went to all the local arcades and I was winning. My MK4 story is very interesting because we were on the IRC and the diversion guys challenged our arcade. Diversions was the do you know what that is? That was the Chicago arcade.
Which one?
That's the main one where all the game testers play.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes.
Diversions.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're like, come out here and play us.
Yeah.
And I went out there, only me, and they destroyed me. They destroyed me. I think they beat me like 35-3. That's how bad I was. I thought I was good. I was winning in Long Island. We were good at the first three. Four, and there was posts about me. They said that I was a really nice guy, but they killed me. And I was the best player, maybe the second best player out of all our group. And they're like, yeah, we saw what happened to you. I'm like, yeah, well, at least I went there, you know? and I got my ass handed to me at that arcade.
Wow.
That was brutality, man. That arcade. They
Well,
could all play.
what was it like? You played in Long Island, you played in New York,
Hmm.
and this is actually a great question considering you grew
Hmm.
up in the arcades because
Hmm.
Josh 360 told us back then it wasn't about prize money, it was bragging rights. It's like, you know what?
Yes.
It's bragging rights. It's about, listen, we're the best. You decide to take a plane all the way out to Chicago. What was it
Hmm.
like getting out away from New York and Long Island and, going to a completely new scene where, you could admit it, you had your chest puffed out. It's like, yeah, I know
Oh yeah.
we're the best.
Oh
And
yeah.
you admitted it yourself. You went over there and you just got walloped. You got
I got
destroyed.
walloped.
Yeah, what was
I,
that experience like? Take us through that.
okay, so here's the thing. You don't just go to an arcade. You don't just fly to an arcade. I went to the Milwaukee Metal Fest with a bunch of my friends, and I said to my friend, and his name is Ali. I still talk to him. And I'm like, dude, you live in Chicago? I'm gonna come a day early to play at Diversions before we go to the fest. Okay? And he's like, yeah, sure, dude. He's like, we can crash at my house, and we got a hotel in Milwaukee. We'll go to the festival. And I'm like, yeah, I just wanna play these kids. I'm like, I just want to, And he's like, yeah, no problems. He's like, I never really heard about doing this kind of thing, but like, if you want to go do that, sure, I'll take you there, cause I got a car, and I went in there, and I had matches set up, but
Wow.
my friends didn't know what the hell I was doing. They're like, "You actually know people here?" I'm like, "No, I don't know anybody here, but I'm set up to play some people here." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "I know you guys are into the music. We're getting back into that." I'm like, "I just need a few hours." I'm like, "Go get a freaking pizza or something." You know? That's what I had to do because I was with somebody who actually brought me to that arcade. And oh man, I remember I remember one guy. He goes, "Oh, you finally showed up." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." He's like, "I got my last 50 cents, man." He's like, "Let's go." I'm like, "Why would he have his last 50 cents? I'm going to beat this guy." I'm like, "This is dumb. Like, why am I even here?" He beat me 30 in a row or something like that with 50 cents. And I was like, "God damn, this guy is freaking great." And he picked everybody. And then, well, he walked away. He's like, "Yeah, you're pretty good." He's like, "You're pretty much better than anybody I played here." And then
Wow.
when that guy left, I talked to another guy, and I'm like, "Who's that?" He's like, "Oh, he's the best player here." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. So let's play the next guy." And I lost to everyone, pretty much.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, this is sick." And I didn't think that anybody knew anything. But when I went back, my whole crew's like, "Yeah, we saw what happened." I'm like, "What do
Who,
you
who
mean you saw what happened?"
yeah, who was
I'm like, "What?"
videotaping?
No videotapes. It was on the BBS. How
Oh.
each guy beat me like 30 to none and 10-2, and I was like, oh wow, they have everything there. I just came home because they were about to ask me. There's no footage, dude. This is nothing back then. There's nothing. So, but they put it on the boards that I think the title was, "We took out the best Long Island player. I hope you could do better next time." Something like that. And I made them look like crap that day. I didn't know. What the hell did I know? I was like, "Play me in 3." And they had WaveNet back then. They
Oh,
had
wow.
WaveNet set up at that place. You know what that is, right?
Yes, I know what
That's what
wave
you had,
net.
the arcade that I played WaveNet. I actually played it at Diversions. I played a guy from Hungary or Turkey or something. It was amazing.
Now, what game was it?
Fif-
Was it 4 or across all
no,
MK games?
3. No,
Oh, three,
Ultimate
three.
MK3
Yeah.
was set up net play, WaveNet. Yep.
Jesus, that's
It
awesome, man.
was. I played it, man, and it was like dead. Nobody played it back then because MK4 was dying too. It was in the back, and I was like, I've never even seen this shit.
Mortal Kombat 4 was dying. You made that trip over
Hmm.
to Chicago. You came
Hmm.
back to Long Island. I'm sure you had fun at the Milwaukee Music Fest, but I'm sure
Yep.
that was in the back of your mind the entire time. It's like, son of a bitch. What do
It was.
what do you
It
what do
was.
you do going back home and going to your crew and how do you explain to them what happened? That you just basically got hit by a nuclear missile. It's like, man, these guys just all freaking destroyed me. What? How do you explain it to everybody there?
All right. So to be honest, and I'm being honest here, to players like Joe, Long Island Joe, and me, music is number one. It is over. It's over. FGC. It is. You can ask Joe too. He will admit it. That's the highest thing for. That being said, I wouldn't have gone to that arcade if it wasn't about the festival I was going to. So, yes, at the festival, I couldn't believe what happened. I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, I can't even live with myself. And I asked him to go back there, and he's like, nah, man, I ain't going. You know what I mean? He's like, I ain't going back there. He's like, that was way too much for us. There was another one of my Bronx friends who went with us. It was like me, him, and another kid. And they're like, do you actually know people at this arcade? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it, you know. But yeah, when I went back to the crew, and I didn't say anything to them, but they already knew it.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's when you like lose a freaking major, and Twitter is like, oh my god, this dude just that was like that. And I was like, it was an awful feeling. But I'm a very good sport at stuff. I lost. I admit it to this day. I got beat down. And I was like, I got to get better. But that game wasn't the game to do it on. That game was terrible. You know what I mean? It was, and there was one game in between that. It was KI. KI was, in my opinion, the best fighting game, the best, most popular fighting game in America
Oh
ever.
yes. Of
Oh
course.
my God, that was amazing.
That
Matt will
that
disagree with me to this day.
no, that game took that game. I remember playing KI and the lines,
Oh
for
my
people
God.
to play that game. I'll never forget it, man. Like every KI machine that at least I've experienced during the times when when I was playing arcade machines, it was at least 10 people deep. You
Dude.
say people say go to Chinatown Fair and watch the Marvel 2 machines being played, and yes,
Oh yeah,
there
that
were
too.
a
Yeah.
lot of people there. But
Mm.
KI, if
Oh
KI
man.
was in a place like Chinatown Fair, there would be lines outside the
Forget it.
place.
That game, again, Godfather Matt will disagree with me, but he can't be more wrong. We still talk about this. I was there. I was deep in the trenches, okay? In every arcade. KI was the absolute shit. It was the best game ever. Everyone played it. It was amazing. I was Jago main, the worst character in the game. And the shit that I was doing back then, they do it now. The best scene right now in KI is the South American scene. You know that,
Yes,
right? They are the
I watch their matches all the time. They are in, Mexico. They're never gonna give up KOF, vanilla KOF 2K2. Dominican
mhm.
Republic, Mortal Kombat trilogy. That's Mortal Kombat trilogy country down there. But Latin America, parts of Latin America, it's KI and nothing else.
Yep.
KI, it's just that's like a
KI
religion down
one,
there.
and they really respect me because I'm very nice to them. And I mean, I play them online with one bar. They have one like flashing red bar,
Yeah.
horrendous lag. They're pulling like 50, 40 hit combos out with that leg. Power to them. They love the game so much. They're amazing at the game. They give me mad props for how much I know, how much I play, how much I knew about the game. I taught Ryan how to play. Uh, Ketchup,
Oh,
me
okay.
and him.
Yeah.
I have this early match. He's way better than me now because he's younger and he's just better. He's better. He kills me now in KI1. But when I first started playing him, I'm like, let's go, dude. I'm like, I'm bringing 20 years of knowledge in here, and I was whipping him. But now that he's like I said, the new guys are way better than us. Their brains
Yeah.
just work better than ours.
Of
So
course.
he destroys me now. He's so good at KI1. I couldn't do anything. I was a Jago main. Anyway, going back to the arcade, I used to walk into the arcade, and all I heard was Combo Breaker because that game was designed to be louder than everything else.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that.
I know
It
that
was
very well.
so
Yes.
freaking loud that I was trying to get like I was trying either I had to pay entry to get to the arcade or getting my $10 worth of quarters or whatever. And I heard Combo Breaker, and I'm like, I gotta run over. I'm like, I gotta play that game. And man, did we have it was MK2, it was KI1, MK2, and UMK3. Those were the three biggest arcade games, fighting games, popularity wise. Street Fighter Alpha, yeah, they were big, but not like those three games.
You
I
know,
mean,
for the
anywhere
people
you went.
for the people watching, I know, the Rodneys, the Matts, Long Island Joes, they'll understand. But for some people
Mhm.
watching, what was it about KI that just made it like just so beloved? I mean, I
It
knew why it was.
looked
Go ahead and explain it to people
it
that.
looked freaking awesome. It looked amazing. It was amazing looking. The combo system was crazy. The way the announcer was sick.
Yes.
The freaking music, the KI Killer Cut CD, amazing. Each track, incredible. The Jago, the Spinal soundtrack, the Full Gore. The characters were so epic. I mean, that game was amazing. The thunder stage where you can go to each side of the bridge,
Yes.
shoot a projectile here, will go over their head. Amazing stuff. The game, no throws, overheads instead of throws, fake overheads, air combos which nobody knew back then. They don't know them today, man. That game had so much freaking. That game was so deep. Cheap as shit too, though.
Yes.
Cheap as hell. Infinites and all sorts of bullshit. But it was such an epic game. It was such an amazing game. Wake ups on when you're dead, shaking the controllers. Ultimates, French. They had the humiliation. If you beat the guy the
Yes.
first round, you could humiliate the guy.
Yeah.
Ultimates with the last part of the bar. The ultra combos. Dude, freaking 35 hit ultra combos. Amazing stuff. Like that game had everything. It was a mix between Street Fighter and MK, and it was done right. Matt, to this day, will disagree with me because he's the home version player, the main player. Those guys have different. They have different views.
Of course.
Anybody who's watching this, I have no knowledge on any new game that you guys play, so I have no clue what you guys are talking about. I'm only talking about the pre-cell phone era. Okay? Nobody had a cell phone. We had beepers. So please, before you boomer me and all this stuff, because my own kids boomer me all day, I don't know anything about what's going on nowadays. We only played the old stuff.
Yeah, please
Period.
don't downvote his video, please. No, you know.
No,
that
they
would
can
be not-
downvote me because there's really not much to. I mean, I'm just talking about my history of my life,
Mhm.
which I still to this day will never trade it for any of the shit that you guys have today. I got kids your guys' age.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never trade my life. My kids don't have any life like I did. I had the best life.
One thing about KI that you didn't mention, and yes,
Mhm.
just the fact that it was so freaking loud. That's actually when
Oh,
I heard that.
my God.
The thing that dragged me to that game when I stepped into an arcade, because again, if people didn't live the arcade scene, at least when it was huge, it's like you just go in there and you get bombarded by noise. But
Oh,
here's
my
this game that's just so much more louder. And when I heard that announcer just scream Ultra, I figured I'm like,
Oh.
I gotta go see what the heck it is. But the one thing that you didn't mention, and I'm sure you meant to, is just like Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct took rock and roll in video games and just meshed it so well. That game is pure hardcore rock and roll, death metal, just in your face. And as a guy who loves that genre, I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you gravitated towards that game, because again, it did it more than Mortal Kombat. It was so much in your face and it was so loud. It was something to experience.
It was the soundtrack and the way the announcer was screaming Ultra. I still get those rushes today, by the way, while playing. Even KI3, by the way, the new KI is probably my favorite game right now, and I will never stop playing that game either. I love that game to pieces because they've done it right in my opinion. I don't care for any Street Fighters or any of the new MKs. I'm a KI guy. I always have been. Going back to the KI1 scene about the soundtrack, the characters, the fatalities, the sound, when you did a 4-hit combo or 3-hit combo, it was like triple, like quad. You would hear all that stuff, hyper, king combo. It was great to hear that stuff. And it was in your face, and people would like look at you when they did that combo. Like, yeah, I just did this.
Besides KI3, the Xbox game. Hey, listen, I know what Street Fighter 4 did for the community. It revived it. But in my opinion, the last two great fighting games, at least for this generation, again, this is just my opinion, games that got it right, was KOF 13 and KI3. If you're a big KOF fan, 13, the way it was animated, the music, and it felt like such an old school KOF. At least to me, it did. And then there's KI3. Oh, you missed out. That is a really great game.
I mean, guess what? Maybe I'll play it. I'll play it now. Is it worth playing?
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, it's Steve. Is the online still active for that game? At least on Steam. Yeah, well,
I would.
the net code sucks, but that. Hey,
Okay.
listen, you don't have to play. It's
No,
just
no, but I
that,
like good games. I started playing Samurai Showdown, by the
yeah,
way, the
that's
new
a
one,
great game.
and I want to learn it, and I'm just a guy who likes to play fighting games, but not Street Fighter, not MK. It's just not my thing. I want to find something. I mean, I was playing that them fighting herds or whatever. I was playing that game.
I don't know what that is.
I that's the freaking that was like the My Little Pony fighting game. I played that. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. It's fun. I want to play like that's kind of like Skullgirls a
Yeah,
little bit, you know. But I want to find games like that and play
you just
because
want to have fun.
I love fighting games. I only play fighting games.
You want
People
to
ask me today.
you want to have
People ask me
fun.
today. They're like, what kind of games do you play? I'm like, I play fighting games. They're like, what? I'm like, fighting games. They're like, oh, what? I'm like, fighting games, like Street Fighter. Like, no, we don't know what that is. Oh, yeah, I know you don't know what that is because fighting games is 1% of the gaming community. We're not even on the map. You know that, right?
Mhm.
The FGC, okay, fighting games themselves are I think they are the lowest popular games.
Oh yeah,
Period.
no,
There's nothing bigger.
I'm pretty
There's
sure it's
nothing lower.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing that what's the best way to put it? That basically it doesn't attract eyeballs like something like a Counter-Strike tournament would. You know, like a
correct. You got like you got the first person shooters, which are the number one games.
Mhm.
You have the strategy games, which are like the StarCraft, Warcraft 3
Mhm.
stuff, and
Of course.
Dota. You have racing games and sports games like
Yeah,
FIFA and all that stuff.
Forza is huge. You know.
Yeah, and then you have I would say then you have like another genre of like then you have the MMOs, you have all that stuff, and
Even
I think
speed running
fighting
is more.
games are actually you have fighting games is actually last I think,
Yeah.
100% dead last. So it's the hardest. Those are the hardest games.
From your
So I don't.
experience, I mean,
Mhm.
you don't play the new stuff. You said it yourself, but you're very well aware of it. Is it because of the skill barrier? Is it too high compared to those other genres?
No, there's no fun in it for me. There's no, it's not playing online. Playing people in their underwear doesn't really thrill me. Like playing somebody on an arcade and bumping them a little. That's the you know what I mean. Like for me,
Yeah.
I lost the feel of it when it came out to home versions. KI3, I mute everyone because all they're gonna do is talk crap, and I'm okay with that. Talk all the shit you want. I don't care. I don't want to be distracted. Because back in the day, if you started doing that to somebody, they're gonna punch you in the face. You know what I mean? They can't do that right now. Right now, they're just gonna talk crap about you, and it's like I can't get into it unless you're sitting right next to me. I'm that old school. Fighting games, that's why I love the tournament scene so much. Today you could do MK11, whatever we're at, MK11. They could go to a tournament scene, sit side by side. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I cannot practice offline because I got nobody to play. I can play with my kids, but I don't understand the concept of online play. So it took me 6 months to learn how to play KI with the lag in my head.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am
No, I
not used to
understand what
that
you're
at
saying.
all. So here you go. Ryan from the UK, Ketchup.
Mhm.
He's 28. I'm double his age pretty much. He is such a good sport that he will host. He'll let me host, so I have no lag. So he'll play with the lag because he's used to the lag. That's how bad I am at the new games.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot adjust to the delay. It's pathetic, I know, but that's my life. I don't know anything else. You know?
Going back,
It's just, yep.
going back before offline tournaments, at least the big things we know now. Mortal
Hmm.
Kombat 4, and I know we're going back, but
It's okay.
this is obvious to your history. Mortal Kombat 4 comes out, arcades are dying. Part of your youth is dying, and eventually the home consoles they catch up with the arcade hardware. I mean that's
Hmm.
why arcades lasted so long. The consoles like Super Nintendo and NES and Genesis, they were not close. I believe the Sega Saturn was one of the first systems where you could actually get arcade perfect ports of some fighting games, like the Versus series,
And
like
Neo
X Men
Geo.
for Street Fighter, Neo Geo. You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. Even though it
Mhm.
cost like almost $1,000 to get, it was
Yep.
basically arcade perfect. You're an arcade
Mhm.
kid. You're an arcade man. You will love arcades the rest of your life. Arcade scene is dying. Take us through that emotion that you're feeling, that something that you've given up so much of your time to, something that got you a lot of friends, some of your closest friends, some of your closest
Mhm.
allies. Hell, maybe some enemies as well. Some good grudge
Mhm.
matches with people from Chicago. What's going through your mind knowing that this is coming to an end?
That was the biggest hurt of my entire life. Seriously. You guys could, like I said, you could say what you guys want to say. I met the best friends of my life playing that game. I had great memories, experiences of tournaments and offline, of just playing people and just meeting people and doing things every day. When that ended, I felt like a part of me was removed. I'm serious. It was arcades were everything to me. It was my social life. I probably even met people. I mean, I met everyone that I know there. I still talk to these people today. It was such a hurt for me. I remember they were saying we're gonna go home and play MK. I'll never forget these stories. We'd go home. We had the PlayStation One, that big clunky thing on the
Yes.
bed with that stupid controller. I remember, and I was like, "What are we doing, guys? Like, what is going on here? What is this? You know?" And I remember the loading times on the PS1. Like, oh my god! Like, oh, just this is fucking bullshit. Like, I was so pissed off, and I was like, let's go to the arcades, but there was none. They
I mean,
were Everything was gone.
something to what you're gonna say. Shang
Yep.
Tsung couldn't even morph in PS1 version of MK.
He was banned, or he wasn't even in the game, because if you did a morph, it had to load all the character. It was like,
Yes.
so you weren't allowed to play him, or there was a code to disable him or something. I don't remember. But if you changed into him, it was like an extra half an hour, and you could hear the fucking laser. You heard it back and forth trying to like load I mean, man,
It was like the old
when the PS
56K modems.
yeah, when the PS1 came out, I uh I literally shed a lot of tears. It was my whole life was just I'm 47 this year. So I was in the prime era of when I mean, remember Karate Kid, right?
Of
Where did
course.
they go? They went to the arcade. They went to the arcade. That's what you did when you were a kid. You went to the arcade. You went to the movies. You went to the arcade. There was no malls and stuff. They didn't really hung out the malls. That's the new stuff. We went to the movies. You played mini golf, or you went to an arcade. Everybody went, and there was always problems at the arcades. There was fights at the arcades. I believe the arcades closed down because of it was too much gang related stuff at the arcades. Not actual gangs, but groups of people who would consider themselves like tough guys.
Yes.
They were bothering kids and stuff. So arcades were shut down because of the PG-13 and up of it. You know what I mean? Because the
Oh, it
kids
was
couldn't
one
go
of the
there anymore.
factors. Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was, of course, it was the PS1 was the destroyer of the arcades, and there was too much bullying and stuff like that, things like that. But we took people in back then. We hung out with all different age groups. I remember my friends from the arcades calling their mothers because they wanted to hang out with the older kids, and their mothers would let them. That was pretty cool. Kids I know today I'm 47, so I know like a bunch of really good MK players who are about 10 years younger than me, who are 40 now, but they had to ask their parents to hang out with us. Facts, man. I can get them all online. Facts. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I'm hanging out with Nit today, and he's got a car. He's gonna take us to Space Flex. Can we go?" And then I had to meet them, meet the parents, and they'd be like, "Ah, he's okay. You can take my son." You know what I mean? Like I remember all this stuff, and those were like those were like my memories of my childhood, which I will never forget. I will never forget those days. Those days were so important to me. They made everything of who I am and who I was, and they just got stripped and dead. And then you can even continue. I know we're running short on time, but I can bring up the last part of this story, which you'll even like. So 20 years go by, okay? And I meet Matt. And now I'm, let's say, 92, 93, 94, 96. So it's 2006, 2006. No, 15 years go by, okay? Roughly. 2010. I don't know. Matt's good with numbers. No, I'm not. I went on Xbox Live. This is the greatest story. You guys will love this, really. Somebody told me UMK3 came out on Xbox 360. I'm
Yes.
like, I'm going to buy that shit today. I'm going to the store. I'm gonna beat everyone's ass. I'm gonna kill everyone. That's exactly what I said. So
Can
I
I
went
ask
to
you
the
a
store.
question before you go to
Yeah,
the story?
sure.
Did you
Sure.
buy the console just for that game?
Oh, you love this. Yes, I'm getting to that. Check this out.
Okay, I'll let you get to that part because you're
This
gonna
is
laugh at what I have
all
to say.
facts. This is all facts. I went to the whatever the hell I don't even know the names of the stores anymore in the US. What are the GameStop? I went to GameStop.
Funkoland.
So, yeah, one of those. I mean, we don't have that stuff here. We have like weird stuff here, but we get our stuff at Media Market or El Gigante or something like that. So anyway, so like I went to GameStop. It was what else was there? It was GameStop, Funkoland. What else? There's one more. Wasn't there one more?
What was it, Steve? EB Games or yeah, EB
It was
Games,
something
Funkoland.
else.
That's the only
All
ones
right,
I really can
let's
remember.
let's call it GameStop because
Yeah.
I know there's another one. No, maybe it was Circuit City or something like that. Whatever.
Yo, wow.
So I went
Circuit
to
City.
yeah. Dude, I'm old. So I will never forget this day. You guys are gonna die laughing. I went inside and I like, can I have an Xbox 360? They're like, sure. They're like, would you like your copy of Gears of War, sir? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, what is that? They're like, Gears of War. I'm like, why are you buying an Xbox 360? This is the game. I'm like, no, I'm here to play UMK3. And they're like, what? What is that? I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
I don't know. I need to buy that game. I'm like, where's the disc? You know? They're like, sir, we don't know what you're talking about. They're like, but we could give you like $5 off if you buy Gears of War. I'm like, dude, put that shit down. I'm like, just give me the console. I'll figure it out. I went home and I went on the forums and I'm like, all right, I got my Xbox. Now what? They're like, well, you need to get on Xbox Live and buy the game on there. I'm like, huh? I'm like, where do I buy the disc that I put in to play UMK3? I'm like, where do I buy this stuff? They're like, dude, you got to get with the times. You need like a good internet connection, and I'm like, I have that. And they're like, you need to like go online. It's like $10. I'm like, $10, great. So I finally figured out how to get on. Right? I get on. I open up the box. I pull out this thing. I'm like, what is this thing? I'm like, what is this? Like, where's the stick? You know, like, and I'm like, I'm seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing. This is all true. This is all true. I never played any home versions. I didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. So I started going on the forums. So that's when I went on Ultimate MK, which was Matt's site.
Yes.
So I'm like typing on there. I'm just like, where the F do I find the freaking arcade stick? There's got to be something that you plug into the thing so I can play the thing with the thing. You know, I was trying to tell people, like, I need this thing, you know? And they're like...
Like old stereo
like,
instructions, right?
Yeah. They told me, they go, there's a guy named Dark Templars or something like that. I don't even remember the guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
The Dark Templars.
That dude,
I remember them.
It was either him or someone else. That guy retired from making sticks, but he's like, I'll make you one. So I'm like, I'll pay you $200, man. It took him like 2 months to get. Meanwhile, everyone's playing the game, and I'm sitting there like, damn it, I can't do anything with this thing. So then, a couple months go by. I know, I can talk forever. Couple months go by, right? I get the stick in the mail. It came in with like newspapers. I tore it all out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I plugged it in, and the run button and the low punch button were swapped.
Oh God.
So I had to like go on the forums and ask what to do, and I fixed it myself. And I was like, yeah, you know? And I'm like, none of these guys have a chance. I'm like, they're all dead. Everyone. I'm like, I will beat every one of these guys. You know what happened? I won nothing. I won like 2 matches out of 1,000. And I was great at the game. You know I'm great at that game. I couldn't beat anyone. I was like, what happened? I was like, what, how is this possible? And then people are like, oh, it's the leg. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I figured out that day that I was bad at these games. That day, which was what, 2006 when that
Yes,
shit came
that's
out.
when that game
I'm like,
dropped on
I'm
the
like,
360.
officially, I suck. And then I found out about Mame and Matt and all those billion players who did billion hit combos, and I was like, yeah, I'm not good. When I contacted all my friends, all my old people like Jimmy, we're not good at those games. We're done. I'm like, we're done. We're history. It's over. I'm like, we're done. And then Jimmy started coming back to tournaments, and then we're here. And that's like how it is. Like, that's our story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
I wanted to bring up the UMK3 on the 360 because now that you say
Mhm.
that, you're the only second person I know who literally bought a console just for one game. Care to
Yep.
take a guess who the first is?
Let me see. If it's one of the old guys that we play. I mean, I don't know if it was Matt. Maybe it was Matt. I'm not
No,
sure. I know Matt did the same. He might have been the third then.
no, I don't
Phil?
know. No, the first guy I know whoever did that, crazy Dominican. He
Oh
literally
yeah, of course.
he literally went out, bought a 360. Listen, when that game dropped on the 360, it's just an influx of people. It's like, wait, what? That thing is like my childhood. You're damn right.
Yep.
And it was as close to arcade perfect as you could get at the time. And of
Mhm.
course, online play and everything like that. But like you said, going back before that amazing story. I love that story, by the way. Like you
Dude,
said,
it's so true.
your childhood, you felt like it was taken away,
It
and
was.
and because you said it yourself, you really you just stopped because you don't take anything fighting game consoles seriously. You're an old school player.
No.
I mean, you kind of do because you still do show up at events, but that's just to support, right? That's just to
I
see a
do it
lot of your
for I
friends.
do it for the love of people. I love my guys. We were always the table of MK guys. We never gave a shit who played the game. It didn't matter who it was. We did it for the love of what we grew up with. And that's why I'm so happy. That's why I'm so proud of Matt because he probably gets paid the least. He probably gets the least recognition. He probably gets the least. The dude just shows up.
Huh.
He just shows up and plugs stuff in his own money, his own hard work. We just supported that game till this day. And I met the best friends of my life, including you. I met you playing MK2.
Yes.
I cherish all the memories I have of every single one of the people that I ever met playing that game because it meant so much to me. That's why I do not support the toxic community that it is today. I could take toxicity in person because you're going to get punched in the face. I can deal with getting punched in the face,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to deal with these accusations of what's going on and all this crap about all this stuff that's showing up with the FGC. It saddens me. It just makes me feel so sad compared to this stuff that's going on nowadays.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful, and I wish that it ended. And the humans themselves are just all mad, mean people. I loved the way it was. I wanted to go back to the way it was. It was so simple and nice, you know. And that's the thing for me. That's the thing that hurts the most. I could shed a tear right now. That's how bad I missed it. I miss it, man. I miss it so much. It's awful.
Well,
It really
listen,
is.
man. Summoning Nit. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure this is just the first episode of many with you. I want to
Oh,
thank you again.
I'll bore everyone. Don't worry.
No,
That's
no,
my
you
favorite
ain't
thing to do.
you ain't boring us here, man. We'd enjoyed it. A lot of laughs. It's actually very good to get guys like you on. You guys lived, the arcade scene. You may not be into what the FGC is now, but
Mhm.
again, and I've said it before. You're a well hidden secret within the FGC. The people who know you, they love you. You're a very welcoming guy, very knowledgeable. Sure, a lot of
Thank you
people
so
here are going
much.
to be like, "Oh, he's just another MK guy. Nobody really cares." But no, you're knowledgeable about everything. You're like Matt. Matt think people have this weird idea that Matt is just an MK player, but no, it's just you guys love fighting games. It's the genre that you
We love it.
decided to cling on
Mhm.
to because it's what made you happy.
It was. I'll end it at this. It was a lifestyle. It was everything for us. Yeah, it could sound lame to people, but Nowadays, you can go online, you could go out, well, the COVID times, whatever. We didn't have anything like that. You couldn't really go anywhere. Where are you gonna go? You could go. We used to hang out in parking lots. We took take our cars, hang out in parking lots, have a nice time. We had freaking lawn chairs in our trunks. That's what we did. There was nothing you could do back then. Anything you did, you'd get in trouble with the law. I mean, you couldn't really go. Where could you go? Well, we went to the arcade. And when that part of your life is stripped away, when your main livelihood was taken from you, that's what the kids today don't know. That's the thing that I wanted to like bring up today. It's very important. It was very important to me. So I'm glad I got to share that with you guys.
Yeah, well, just like it was important to you, it's like, with the COVID 19 going on, that has been taken away from them because they
Yes.
can't go out to a weekend. They know the feeling that you had when arcades died down. Fortunately for them, theirs is gonna come back some way or another. Nowadays, arcades are just fun centers. I don't know how you feel. How do you feel about arcades basically being just fun centers more often these days than what you remember them to
Well,
be?
well, I know time's cutting short here, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could tell you the one thing that saved us in New Jersey. We have Yestercades,
Yes.
and
Love
Ken
that
is a
place.
very good friend of mine. He's one of my. I think I was the first. I think I was the first transaction he ever had. I remember. I think I was the first person to ever, and we gave him our MK3 machine. That's our machine in the Red Banks
Yes.
location, and I would give it to him any day of the week because he's bringing back the he's brought back and the guy's amazing. I mean, he's made tons of money. He's hurt now by COVID
Of
because
course. Of
his
course.
business took a huge hit. But it's guys like him who bring back memories for guys like us, and I appreciate people like that. So arcade, if anybody who's doing it nowadays in the real way, there's a guy in Deptford Mall in New Jersey.
Hmm.
The guy who's bringing back the arcades not for the fun stuff, for the fighting for the
Yes.
old
I'm more.
feel.
Yeah. I'm
I
more
have
aware of him. Yeah.
yeah, totally have a huge respect for those guys, and thanks for bringing those memories back. That's pretty much all we have though.
Well,
That's it.
listen, man. Again, I want to thank you once again. Do you have any social media outlets where anybody can meet you? I know you do Combat Network at night. You do a lot of streaming, a lot
Yes.
of KI, a lot of old
Yes.
MK stuff. But what are some of your other social media outlets?
All right, so if anybody cares about MK1, MK2, KI original, or KI3, um, UMK a little, I do Combat Network on Twitch, pretty much every night from. Actually, I'm on Swedish time, so it would be like, let's say 4 p.m. for you guys till about 1 in the morning. Sorry, 1 for me. 4 to 7 for you guys. 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern, and then I'm on Twitter, summoning 666 on Twitter, and mostly music talk and stuff like that. And Facebook, I'm on there, and I think that's all. I don't even remember. Those are it. So you guys can hit me up on that, and if anybody ever wants to play us in old games, you're welcome.
Well,
So,
guys, that's it for this episode. Summoning, once again, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure we will talk again. I have to get you and James just a nice little sit down and we could go further.
That'll be the show of the century.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's definitely
Oh.
going to be a heck of a lot more. You guys have fun this episode. I know I did. Again, this was Summoning, and thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you next time, and have yourself a good evening. Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you.
That was a lot of fun,
Good
man.
night. Yes, it was.
You win.
This has been a KPB MediaWorks production.